Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Cari Satran. I'm a middle years teacher. I'm here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Winnipeg is located on Treaty 1 territory. That's home of the Anishinaabe, the Cree, the Oji-Cree, the Dakota, the Dene people, and the Métis Nation. And I'm very grateful to live here on Treaty 1 territory land. And I'm very grateful to be part of the Spirituality and Education Convention and presenting here with you today, and that you're watching me here today. It's the first time I've ever done a video presentation like this, and I'm certainly used to in person. And I'd hope to bring some students along, but you know how life goes. So here I am, and I'm going to share some of my experience of the last 20 years in the classroom working with grade 7 and 8, and the last 10 or 8 or so, 6, 8 years of university studies through a master's of education in teaching curriculum and learning, and a post-baccalaureate diploma education in general with a whole bunch of studies. A lot connected to what I'm going to share with you today, specifically in relation to reconciliation, social justice, writing for social justice, inquiry projects for social justice, and meditation in the classroom. I've been meditating as long as I've been teaching middle years. My first day of teaching, my first time with middle year students in grade 8 in around 2003, the fall of 2003, somewhere around there. I came into the classroom and I thought, well, I'm a meditator. I've been a lifelong meditator, and I am consistently inconsistent or inconsistently inconsistent in my 25-year plus practice of starting and stopping and starting again. And I keep going and I keep doing as I keep teaching and learning and growing myself, and as I bring that to my students. So those first year, that first time, all that day, years ago, much like teaching in that time, was the idea: you will learn, you will meditate. And I've grown in my practice in so many ways, and my meditation with students as well. Some of my writing is published. If you go to my name, Cari.Satran, hopefully it'll work out to be on the screen in the end. I can't figure it out to start. I'm hoping to be able to add the name and title like they asked, but just in case, first name dot last name under Google Scholar. And that's written from an education for sustainability perspective, but it connects sort of the foundation of my meditation practice in my classroom, which is what we're going to get to very, very shortly. I'm cognizant of the time ticking away on my clock, and I'm going to keep this under 30 minutes and hope to share. I have some stuff here behind me and beside me, and some writing that I hope to share with you by the end. So anyway, I started meditating all those years ago. I've been very lucky here, again in Winnipeg on Treaty 1, especially in middle years. We work with a middle years philosophy where we really support students and meeting students where they are in a student-focused curriculum, project-based curriculum. Our health curriculum is designed around student-focused project-based. ELA is very much designed that way too, and social studies allows for, especially in grade 7, a lot of exploration of human rights and social justice issues. And there's a lot of opportunity to bring compassion and caring into the mix to create some really amazing, deep learning experiences. And so it's founded with the beginning of my class every day. We start with a meditation, and the meditation is generally about 5 or 6 minutes long. Traditionally, I use music in the background. Today, I'm not going to, because I don't know how the sound's going to work with me talking and all of that stuff. And this technology is complicated enough for me. So we're just going to go with the 5 minutes of silence, which I also do in my classroom. I'll guide us through probably maybe the first 3.5 minutes, and then the last minute or two we'll breathe together quietly. I've been doing this, as I said, for 20 years with students. And in general, it truly is an invitation for students to join in a daily meditation. I have not yet had a student who has defied or said, no, I really don't want to, though over the years I have had students who've sort of one who's left the room for the first minute and then came back and joined, and others who had different experiences settling. But I always tell students they can believe whatever they like about meditation. There's a lot of research, especially since I started researching in my master's in 2008. There's a lot of research that supports meditation for physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual benefits, as well as our whole being. And that's a whole other topic that we could get into when we had a lot more time. Or if anyone wants research on that, please contact me. But like I tell my students, they can learn about it on their own or not. They could believe it or not. Sitting for 5 minutes quietly together won't ever hurt them. And the only way to meditate wrong is to bother someone else. Sometimes I have students who just draw or even read. If it's too dark, I tell them they shouldn't be reading. If they're quiet and that's what they want to do, I don't insist, as long as they're not bothering someone else. If they're drawing and calling attention to their drawing, well, they're not. Then they're calling attention and there's time for conversations, or the law of proximity, where I circulate and sort of stand behind or around. But I use music every day. I used the same track for a while. My favorite is called Spirit Dreams by a person called Thomas Walker. I found it. It's on YouTube Music. I use about a 5.5 minute or 6 minute track and vary among them. I try and stick with the first one for at least a month or 6 weeks, just so students become accustomed to it. I like the background music because it's silence without too much silence. And then I bring some silence, true silence, in at the end before we sort of come out of the meditation. The beauty of meditating is you don't need anything special. I tell teachers all the time that you don't need to know any special words either. They kind of, when I've come into teachers' classrooms, which I have many times, over the years, they say that they can't do it like I do it, or they don't talk like I do. And I say, no, it's okay. And I'm glad. But it doesn't matter, and just find what you're comfortable with. And if there's a guided meditation on YouTube or a fitness app, I use my own on my fitness app. So if there are ones that you like in your life, whatever works is great. So we don't need any special materials. I dim the light in my classrooms. Over the years, I've had students with special needs, living with autism, ADHD, nonverbal, wheelchair bound, all sorts of students, and they've all played a role in meditations. Often they're the ones who control music or turn on and off the lights, and we breathe together. So I haven't met a student yet in all the years who can't meditate, and so we begin. I'll give a little bit of background first. Again, sitting in a chair. If your feet reach the ground, that's great. If they don't, being as comfortable as possible. I take the opportunity in every meditation to remind students, as we plant our feet flat, that we live on Treaty 1 territory land. Sometimes I include that land acknowledgement, although that's in our schools every day. So it's not as essential. So we're going to start officially now. So getting comfortable in your seat, letting everything else go, relax your body. If you can, plant your feet flat where you are here on Treaty 1 territory land. I acknowledge this is where we live and breathe. It's a great opportunity to learn about your own places if you don't know already, and notice that land. be grounded in the land. Then we can relax our body. Start to notice how we feel as we bring the attention and awareness to our breath. Breathing, you don't have to do anything fancy. You don't have to change how you breathe. But just starting to notice first each breath, each inhale, hopefully through our nose. Each exhale, letting all the air out slowly, steadily through the nose or the mouth. And just noticing how you feel today. And starting to notice if you can bring your attention to your breath. Thoughts may come. You may wonder. And try and notice whatever you're thinking about. And then just bring that attention back to your breath. Not trying to control the breath, not trying to change your breath, but just noticing that you are breathing. As you notice your breath and how you feel, you might also start to notice what you need today. And here you can find and work with what you need. So if you're feeling very anxious or have extra energy, or your students are coming in after gym or after lunch, then breathe in that calm. Let it fill you up. And as you exhale, let go of that nervous excess energy, making room for more calm. Or on the contrary, if it's early in the morning or you've had a long day, maybe you need a little extra energy. So find it here. Breathe in that energy. And exhale, let go of that tired feeling, making more room for that next exhale, building your energy, finding what you need here. The beauty of meditation is it's not magic. It doesn't change everything on the outside. It won't cure someone who's sick or resolve conflict in your family. But it helps you remember that you can find what you need within yourself to face your challenges, to remind yourself of your strength, to find the positivity to know that it won't last forever, or to build your confidence, your compassion, or whatever it is you need. So taking just the next minute or so, about 5 or 6 full breaths, just enjoying some stillness and silence. Slowly, slowly starting to bring your energy back. Not moving just yet. That was just about 5 minutes, over 5 minutes, actually going on 6. So just slowly noticing how you feel, when you're ready, bringing a little movement to your fingers, your toes, giving your shoulders a roll when you're ready, maybe a stretch, a shake. And finally, if your eyes were closed, which I forgot to mention or talk about because I'm looking at myself while I'm doing it, opening your eyes. And if they weren't, you were looking at me, and that's all right too. You're home alone, and I'm all the way over here. Hopefully you felt a little bit relaxed. If you want to try it again, if you listen first and try it again, hopefully you will. A little calmer, a little stiller. Anyway, it's certainly a strange experience. I'm just going to take a sip. That is essentially how I meditate with my students. Building on it, we do it every single day. I work with 2 classes, so usually we work first thing in the morning, and then I switch with my other class, and it's after our break at like 10:30 in the morning. And then sometimes when both classes come together in the afternoon or different times, both classes we meditate together. I also describe in my writing that I talked about my Google Scholar, my name, metta meditation or loving kindness meditations, which I bring into my practice. Now, usually we start with around our practice of Orange Shirt Day or Truth and Reconciliation time here in Canada, which comes towards the end of September. So we start learning and working around that mid-September and bring those sorts of meditations in. They take a little longer, so I do them in connection with different projects or days in order to connect on a deeper basis to the idea that we're building caring and compassion. So the meditation is a foundation of the work that I do with my students. And then we look at big picture ideas a lot through inquiry processes, sort of asking those big questions. And often they're connected to social justice. In this case, the focus that I'm bringing today in general is reconciliation because it is a social justice topic and very important to the work that we're doing in our classrooms in Canada. We call it also reconciliation. So even producing this and sharing the work, social justice through this context is part of my role in reconciliation as a non-Indigenous person in Canada. But the topics can be sort of described or connected to any social justice topics. And I've asked the question, what is social justice? What I've took here in Winnipeg, we have the Canadian Museum of Human Rights. And when you walk in to that museum, it's a beautiful building with lots to say, though we sometimes refer to it as the Canadian Museum of Human Wrongdoings. Or my colleague says the Canadian Museum of Bad Things People Do to Each Other. So we talk about, and it says, and when you walk in under the big archway, it says all humans are born equal. And are we is the question. And so we come from that perspective when we look at the social constructions and how the world is built and our roles within it and ask these big questions. So our questions of reconciliation, and I use meditation as a foundation, both to sort of bring focus in the classroom, to prepare us to do things like writing, and also to work together and be cooperative. We do things like bringing classes together. So this is just one group's work of, we talked about here, what is a treaty and what is reconciliation. And then we're looking at the calls to action, child welfare, and language and culture. And then we have more to go with the other ones, education, health, etc., etc. But this group, just as an example, came up with reconciliation is important because if you know how to reconcile, you can make up after a fight. And so big fights, sometimes even including war, can potentially be avoided. As humans, we can reconcile by understanding the person the fight has started with and apologize instead of getting more furious and make the fight worse. And kids just have a way of saying things. And just one more, sorry, one second. One more group says reconciliation is important because it shows that Canada knew that they did something wrong and are trying to, quote, fix their mistakes. It means to make up, and it's important because it shows that Canada has some level of compassion and aren't just trying to forget the past and say it never happened. So it's super exciting, the work that's being done, and I'm just going to share very quickly a writing piece. And this is a book that we did some years ago, I Am the Treaties, and I'm just going to read the inside of what we did. And we did it in sort of workshop style. So while in many classes in the context of our schooling, we've learned about this a lot. This particular piece, this book, came about in a series in one 40-minute workshop, or two maybe 80-minute, maybe it was an hour, somewhere around an hour, with each class, and then put together. So we had in those days a school celebration called Treaty Days, and several classes took part in a writing workshop through which we began to explore the treaties, their history, purpose, meaning in the context of reconciliation in Canada today. We spent some time outside in the spring morning, taking the time to connect with the sunshine, breeze, birds, and Treaty 1 territory land on which we live every day. Then we examined the language of the treaties, studying some definitions, history, and concepts to generate vocabulary and meaningful phrases connected to the treaties and reconciliation. Ready with words and the I am format, a poetic device familiar to many students, we questioned our values and understandings as we reflected on Canada Day, celebrating 150 years since Confederation, and imagined ourselves as part of the treaties. The results are inspired pieces of writing, combining each student's verse as they became a part of the treaties to create a class poem, reflecting our learning, understanding, and hopes for the future. And so this was our school's I Am Treaty poems. It was done in the time through a grant from Canada Heritage at Canada 150. I don't know if I'm obligated to say that, so I will. And it was just really I'm opening it completely at random. I am the treaties. Here I am imagining the past and present of Canada. I am the treaties. Here I am watching the animals run, showing me Canada's wildlife. I am the treaties. Here I am imagining a better Canada than what was centuries and not so long ago. I am the treaties. Here I am imagining the greenness of Canada. I am the treaties. I am watching as the coldness of Canada grows. I am the treaties. Here I am watching the sunrise, reminding me of the warmth that comes again. I am the treaties. And just finally, I'm going to wrap up very shortly. I want to share one more sort of piece of work. Orange Shirt Day has become part of our Canadian history. It's sort of hard to see. I know I'm moving. And there are some poems. So Orange Shirt Day is the story of residential schools in Canada, where a student came to residential school with her orange shirt, only to have it promptly stripped from her, never to be seen again. And thankfully, that woman, Phyllis Weber, only went to residential school for 1 year. But we know that many other Canadians weren't so lucky, or Indigenous people of Canada weren't so lucky. And there are at least 6,000 young children who never came home from residential schools, including bodies that Canadians are still discovering today. So we commemorate Truth and Reconciliation Day and Orange Shirt Day every day on September 30th. And that project that I just showed you, and I know I went through it very quickly, but we're short of time, is one that I've done regularly. And again, it brings out the poetry, the I am. There's some acrostic. There's some 6-word memoirs. There is some free verse. There's some haiku. So there's a variety of poems that come about to become a part of our orange shirt display. which we share then with our school every year. So we're very lucky here also. One final piece. Many of the Anishinaabe Cree, Oji Cree, which are very local to Indigenous peoples of specifically the city of Winnipeg, share their learning with us in the medicine wheel. And the medicine wheel contains all four components of the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional parts of us and our learning and our world. And so we have access to teaching spirituality through the medicine wheel and Indigenous practice in ways that most other schools, and especially those with strong Christian dogma or Christian backgrounds, may not have, or even other religious backgrounds may not have, where the religious is taken for spiritual simply because of its nature. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. So I just feel very lucky and grateful to be here, where we can call spiritual and really explore it, as we do in health units and other studies, which are too plentiful to mention here. And as well as to explore the big pictures through inquiry, through writing. And I'm happy to share my learning with anyone who like to be in touch with me. So again, Cari, Cari .Satran, Satran, is my, sorry, the dot is just part of the email, at gmail.com is a way to reach me. I'm sure the contact information will also be on the website. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity to share my experience and learning with you. And if anyone wants to reach out for more information or lessons or the reflection pieces, also all of our learning, the orange shirt behind me comes with a reflection about how they felt, what they learned, what they meant to put into it, an opportunity to share other people's writings and self-assess. So that is also part of our academic and learning practice. That goes together with this writing and all the other work that we do. Parker Palmer said that the spiritual work is the hidden curriculum. I'm grateful that it's much less hidden now and that we can bring it open. And yeah, so thank you very much. In the Anishinaabe language, we say miigwech. In my language, I say tada. Thanks for being here with me. Thanks for watching. All the best to you. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you be safe.